everyone. I'm Amy.
And I'm Audrea.
And this is The Right Crowd. So grab a cup of coffee.
Or a lukewarm mug of tea.
Maybe a little something on the rocks. Let's get started. So Audrea always starts the video when I'm in the middle of a laugh. I think she does it on purpose. Anyway, so we were supposed to record this video about an hour and a half ago. And we started jibber-jabbering and planning. And so now my coffee is cold and so is her tea. But that's okay. I don't mind cold coffee, actually. I like cold coffee. My mother, her coffee could be just the slightest bit not quite as hot as it was when she poured it. She'll stick that bad boy in the microwave. She wants it scalding hot. She won't drink cold coffee. And I'm like, you know what? I could drink this whole cup all day long. Doesn't bother me at all. And I'll drink it cold. Yep. Now, what I won't do is I don't want to come into coffee that's been sitting like in the kitchen and then add creamer to it. I want to do that. But coffee that I started when it was nice and hot, I'll still drink it cold. And I know that's silly, but that's my brain. Welcome to my world.
I drink cold coffee. People don't realize, my husband doesn't realize, well, he does now, because he'll come across a cup of something sitting on the counter and his first instinct is to pour it out. But then he's like, she'll be back for that. It might be later today. It might be 3 days from now, but she will be come back looking for that.
Randy's the same way. Randy, I'll be like, why is that cup? Why can't he? Yeah, he'll do the same thing. But if you see my cup of coffee, I don't know, hon, there's 4. Which one are you looking for? Because there's lots of them. I feel like I need some light. Like all of a sudden it got dark. So uno momento, por favor. Hey, so what are we talking about this week?
Great question. I'm glad you asked. Today we are talking about, surprise, 27 Essentials of Story by
But
Daniel
guess what?
Joshua Rubin. What? Oh,
This is our last discussion on chapters for this book.
this is the last of the right read. And we'll say it this time and we'll say it again in a future episode. We will not take this long on a right read. This was our first attempt at a book club sort of right read situation. They won't take this long.
And we picked a doozy.
We did.
We picked a doozy.
A good one, but
we thought it was going to take 27 weeks because we were going to do one chapter, not 27 weeks. We were going to do 2 or 3. So we thought it was going to be like, 15, 12, whatever. And then we took a break.
Like 3 months tops we were going to do.
And now a year later, we're finishing. Now, I said this is the last video for chapter discussion because we have one more video after this. What do we have after this, Audrea?
We have a summary or a review of 27 Essential Principles of Story with a surprise guest, which is not a surprise because we're going to tell you. We will be interviewing the author, Daniel Joshua Rubin. Look at us.
I don't know how Audrea did it, but when she was like, hey, so we're going to interview the author, I'm like, wait, what? Excuse me? I don't know what happened. I don't know what she had to offer, but we are interviewing the author for our video in July. So be sure to tune in for the last one.
Yeah.
And then we'll start a new book. We will continue with our Right Read series. We just won't be reading this.
Yeah, we'll do another one and we'll tell you what it is in case you want to read along, because that is supposed to be our attempt at a book club kind of situation where you at home can read along and jump in the comments and do your homework. And we'll have some other activities like posting first lines or something like that in the future with our right reads. But we will go back to our regularly scheduled programming of reading writing craft books, because that's what we do, and reading some newer ones. And we'll have a few new series coming out in Q3 and of this year. So new stuff coming.
Yeah, and we're super excited. We're ready to get back on the saddle and get this channel going again with more consistent videos and more than one book discussion.
That's right. All right. So new stuff coming.
We're excited. All right. But for this video, before I want to tell you guys about my.
Yes.
I just came back from vacation. And if you have never been in the northeastern part, is that right? Am I on the right? Northeastern, yes. Sometimes my brain is like, you just said that wrong, even though I know I said.
That's my brain all the time.
If you have not been to the northeastern part of the United States, you should really go visit Maine. My husband and I went last year and we saw whales in October. And we literally just got back so we could see puffins. I was so excited. And we took a cruise called the Acadia Puffin Cruise. It's a smaller boat. And it literally took us right up to the island where all the puffins were. And this year there were 320 puffins there. And you may say, Amy, how do you know how many puffins were there? I know because they arrive in pairs and every pair lays one egg.
Oh.
And there are biologists who live on the island to make sure that predators leave the puffins alone and don't mess with their eggs. And so they count all the eggs so they know how many pairs are on the island. So it was fabulous. Went to the top of Cadillac Mountain, which is gorgeous, and saw all the things, and it was fabulous. So if you have not been to Maine, you need to go to Maine. And if you live in Maine, it's absolutely beautiful. And if your taxes weren't so high, I'd probably move there. But yeah, we actually asked one of the I don't even know what to call them anymore without the AIs. We asked one of the AIs about the cost of living in Maine. And the AI literally said, it is not small business friendly.
Wow.
Yeah. And considering my husband and I both do other things besides a regular job, yeah, it probably wouldn't work for us. And they tax everything. I had to buy my grocery bags at the store, which I know there are some places that do that, but I didn't know it. And at the end, we went to the grocery store, we packed everything in. And at the end, it asked me how many bags I used. And I was like, oh, babe, I don't know how we're being charged, but we're getting charged for the bags of good shoes. You can tell the tourist from the homeboy because tourists didn't know they were paying for a bag. Homeboy comes in with his own bag. That's how you know that. That's me. So anyway, all of that. Yeah. Are you homeboy? You come in with your own bags?
I got my own bags. Keep them in my car. Travel.
I mean, I keep them in the car. Do I remember to take them in the store?
No, I don't remember to take them in the store either.
Which, as I'm saying, I'm remembering I have bags in my car that I could have used while we were on our trip that I didn't use because I forgot they were there.
I have to talk off on.
So anyway, yeah, I know we should buy a trip together. That would be fun. Okay. What we're supposed to be talking 27 essential principles of story. Last one. Chapters 24 through 27.
Indeed.
All righty. Let's go.
All right.
And we both have been singing song lyrics all day. So if one of us breaks out into song, I apologize ahead of time. And that's all I'm going to say.
I don't apologize. Yeah.
You've been warned.
I don't apologize.
All right.
All right.
Chapter 24. Hunt big game.
What does you should never, whether you're a lawyer or not a lawyer, ask a question you don't already know the answer to. That is one of the things when you're an instructor and I do technical instruction and facilitation, you're not supposed to ask a question you don't know the answer to. But hunt big game, what does he mean by that?
So this principle is deciding about what to write about. It's about taking on the issues, incidents, and people that are essential to you. They're personal.
I like how he put that. And
Yes.
at first I thought, well, I just don't agree. I think you should just write about whatever you want to write about. But that is actually the same thing. He, down below, when he writes about how it works, he says, sometimes you get a blast of inspiration and immediately know with absolute certainty what you must write. A streak of light races into the woods and you have to follow it in. Awesome. Sorry.
Everything is as I am. Okay.
Go for it. Or I also think of the king in Hamilton. Awesome. Wow. Anyway, go for it. Always go for it. Follow those inspirations. So he kind of does say that. It's not just who you are, but who you are can also be used to inspire you and your subjects.
Yeah. What's interesting is that one of his examples was J.K. Rowling, and I was like, she wrote about codworks? How is how is that? But then he explained that it came from a human working for a human rights organization, and I was like, okay, I can see where you put those things together. Like, I can see that. We do talk about the quick take sometimes, and I want to tell you, I like the whole thing. See that thing right there? That thing right there means I like the whole thing. And I'm not saying the whole thing. So y'all can go read it.
That's right. We always encourage you to buy the book if we like the book, and we very rarely review books we don't like.
We just spent a year on this book. It is too late to say you do not like the book. Please don't let us say. We spent a year. I'm just going to lay it out there. We spent a year on it. Too late. Like the book.
Okay, put it in the comments if you bought the book. Oh, gosh. You can also put in the comments if you're glad we're moving on. Anyway,
I'm surprised someone hasn't put in the comments yet. Get done with it already.
yeah,
But we have very gracious subscribers
we do.
who have been very patient and lovely. So we appreciate that you haven't said get on with it already.
Yes.
And that you keep coming back for our antics. Yeah.
And tell your friends that we're going to start on new books soon, some new good books. Well, there are some new writing craft books. So tell your friends because we're up to like 191 subscribers and we want to hit 200 by the end of the year.
No, I want to hit 200 by the end of June. Oh, no, we're this post at the end of June. By the end of July,
Okay.
I would like to be over 200.
Okay. And then we're going to have a celebration. Okay. So going back to J.K. Rowling.
Yes,
I kind of knew because I read all of those and I watched all the movies and I reread them or rewatch the movies and things like that all the time. I like that series. Her politics aside, but I kind of knew that she worked like in an organization like that Amnesty International, and also she lived in her car for a minute, I believe. But like you said, I didn't put those together. I highlighted it here at Amnesty International. There she learned firsthand how much carnage evil leaders can inflict on innocent people. And you do see that in the Harry Potter series. You can see the impact, what she saw in the books. And it gets darker as it goes along for anybody who hasn't read the series, but it gets darker as it goes. Anyway.
I haven't read the series. I'm interested in reading the series, but that's okay. It's not my cup of tea.
It's awesome.
And that's okay.
All right. He does harken back to some of his other chapters. Did you have any other highlights in how it works or quick take?
No, what's interesting is I did read The Brief Wondrous Life of Oscar Woe, which is one of the examples he used, as well as Death of a Salesman.
Okay. Death of a Salesman. Yes, that's it. That's a good one. Before we move on, I'm going to read one more quote related to the books you didn't read. Lord Voldemort, he's a character in Harry Potter.
Yes, I know the character. I nannied kids. I nannied through 2 different families for that series.
Oh, wow. Anyway, he who shall not be named represents arrogance, secrecy, domination, and exclusivity. She wrote about this because she knew the horror of what happens to good people trapped under the tyranny of evil regimes. So I thought that was a great way to illustrate how you can use things that mean something to you either your personal philosophy or things you see in your personal life, and you can use them in your books and your writing to good effect or just to real effects. Because when you've seen them firsthand, the writing comes through as more authentic, and we've talked about that before. And that's why he says to hit on big game. All right, moving on.
How a Master Did It. Now, do you pronounce that beloved or beloved?
I like beloved.
Okay.
That's how I pronounce it.
So, beloved or beloved,
Go either way.
whatever.
Yeah.
I'm
Is
sorry.
just a second. It's an opportunity to put in a psych quote. I've heard it both ways. You can go on.
Like pecan and pecan.
It's pecan.
Pecan tree. It's a pecan pie.
It's a pecan pie.
It's a from the South, honey. It's a pecan pie. Let's move back to the book. I also read this one. I had to read it in school. I did not remember it because, like I said, I don't remember books once I read them. And I can't remember whether or not I liked it or if I figured it out by the end. But I did not have, I don't think, let me see if I highlighted anything. I did not have anything to point out from his How a Master Did It. Did you?
I don't have anything else.
Okay. So how you do it is the part where he gives you some bullet points on how to do the theme. And I have 2 items. This is about intensity, about refusing to settle for a subject to write about that's just good. Good enough is not good enough.
I highlighted the same thing. And again, for those of you, you're probably not new if you're watching. How you do it is how Daniel Joshua Rubin explains how to apply whatever this principle is to your own work. And I agree, the good enough is not good enough. Kind of made me sad in a way. It's like sometimes you just want it to be good enough, but
Yeah.
very often it's not.
Sometimes that's all you have the patience and time for.
And time for. For example, I just sent off a novella as an entry to a competition, and I did not give myself enough time for another review of that novella. And I sent it off going, it's good enough, but it wasn't good enough. Not for me. It did not pass my standards, but I had to hit send because I had reached the deadline on that one. But he's right. So I highlighted the same thing. In the next one, we don't go over line by line. We want to not, or to do the book justice. But the other one that I highlighted is what could they be talking? Oh, this is a funny one. The next bullet point, he says, imagine you're alone at a boring cocktail party. You're just waiting until you've stayed long enough to avoid the host's feelings with your departure. So when I read that, I'm like, I can't imagine me being alone at a boring cocktail party. Why would I be there? I would leave, or I would not.
I wouldn't have gone to the
I
cocktail
would
party in
not
the first
go.
place.
Why would I? But
Unless it was required for work, and then I would be there just long enough
to
for
be
them to see me there, and then I would slip out.
yes, I am known to my friends as being the queen of the Irish goodbye. I am good at it. But the last line there, when he says, imagine they start talking about something that gets your blood flowing. What could they be talking about that would change your entire attitude? And so that's not the whole thing, but what could they be talking about? And when I read that, I was like, oh my gosh, if I was anywhere and I heard them go, so in the last season of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, so you were talking about the last season? I have notes. So those are some things that, I mean, that is one of the topics that would stop me. Someone talking about the TV show Psych, or I don't know, wanting to have a raccoon as a pet.
Oh
Don't
my
do it.
gosh.
Or
I mean,
goats.
you could. You could. You could have a raccoon as that.
Yes, and many people have goats. Goats are better suited to be pets than raccoons. But
Yes.
that's funny. So anyway, other how you do it. He says do you have a favorite subject or one you're fascinated by? So these are things he's listing to help you come up with a good subject for a story or something in a story. And when it comes to hunt big game, so that's like the answer. Big game is something you have enough interest in or knowledge of to make it interesting to the reader.
One thing that I want to point out in this part is something that I think applies to life, not just to writing. Don't settle for mediocrity. None of us knows how long we've got to live. Think of your time as an investment and value it high.
Yeah.
I thought that was very good. Okay. Then we have the final exam, which we're not going to go over, but it's there for you to see if you figured it all out.
I do want to go back a little bit. When you talked about you highlighted the don't settle for mediocrity. I had the same thing highlighted, and it stressed me out a little bit when I read the other quote, or the other thing he has in there by Warren Buffett, which he says, the billionaire investor Warren Buffett encourages investors to make thoughtful decisions by imagining they get a punch card and can only punch it 20 times. And I thought if I applied that to writing, I have a punch card and I can only write 20 things. And then I was like, oh my goodness, am I writing the 20 most important things to me? Uh, So I got a little something to think about. I don't have anything else in continuing ed.
Okay.
Let's move on to chapter 25, Amplify Your Theme.
Sing loud and sing proud. Drop kick Murphy said.
It's a good Celtic punk band.
On the quick take, the only thing I did is I circled the word amplify. And I think it's because when you think of amplifying something, you think of making it louder.
Mhm.
And he said it also means to expand. So when he's talking about expanding your references, nuances, the texture, the feelings, like all the things, like amplify what you're putting.
Mm. You know,
Okay.
and exactly so. Well, the other thing I highlighted in the quick take is, when you tell a story with a clearly asked central dramatic question, CDQ, that's all the way back from the beginning of this book, the way the story resolves, for example, how the question is answered is meaningful. And I never thought about theme that way, that however the story is resolved is meaningful. But when we look at how a master did it, it becomes pretty obvious there. The other thing I highlighted there was some writers feel intense passion about their ideas and they need to state them boldly and often. When it comes to theme, I am not that person. I write, I don't know if it's the Eminem of fiction. I just like to write stuff that makes people happy in the moment they're reading it. I don't expect to be exalted or raised to the level of a Toni Morrison. It would be lovely, but nobody's going to read my little detective fiction and say that woman deserves a Pulitzer Prize. How lovely would that be? I just want to write stuff that entertains and makes people happy. And sometimes makes you think about a particular subject or maybe you learn something. There were times when I first started writing, I had no idea what my theme was. And sometimes I still don't know what my theme is. I have to ask people when I do a beta read.
There was who was it? And one of these things he's talking about someone
Yes.
who writes a play where he just writes it and he waits for the reviews to come out to know what it was about.
Yeah, there was another author like
That sounds about right.
yeah. There was another author like that who's like, I'm just gonna write it. You tell me what it's about. Which I love that. Okay, but then he says, others are more subtle and may simply wish to insert them in bits of dialogue or visual cues. And I think sometimes when I know what my theme is, I lean more that way. I'm not ever going to write the hard driving, emotional stuff, probably. I don't know. Maybe one day I will. But anyway, how it works.
So, something that I wanted to point out in this is the first sentence. To amplify your theme, you focus on the overriding idea that is expressed through the events of your story and reinforce it with images, dialogue, illusions, and sounds.
Yeah, that's a good one. I also picked up the second sentence there. You may have other ideas that will be expressed through secondary storylines, compelling characters, single scenes, little moments, or a killer line of dialogue. But the story itself expresses one main idea, which I thought that was a very good point to make about your theme in your work in progress to think about.
I thought it was interesting. He uses Elliot from E.T. as an example. Do you know that Elliot is the only character name I remember from E.T.?
Really?
I see the faces of all the other actors and like I see scenes from the movie. Elliot is the only name I remember.
Aw.
Isn't that interesting? I didn't even think about that until he brought it up and I was like, who are the other characters? Like one of the scenes he brings up in one of these chapters, I was like, I remember that scene. I remember the mom's face when he said what he said at the dinner table. Don't remember the mom's name. I remember Elliot. So kind of
That makes
points.
sense. And
Yeah.
because he embodied the theme of that particular.
Yeah. And I hadn't even thought about it. Hadn't even thought about it until he said that.
Interesting. What I thought about that particular movie is I've never seen E.T.
Let me hold my chin closed. What?
Jaw-dropping moment. Well, even though I'm a sci-fi geek, that one just never appealed to me. But it's a classic. It's obviously classic and everybody loves it. I feel like I've seen it because I've seen so many clips in either movie classes or retrospectives or the top whatever movies you should have seen. But anyway,
Okay.
I know what it's about.
Well, what I will say is that I have gone back and watched some of my favorite childhood movies.
Mhm. I bet it stands up.
I mean, it probably does. I mean, Princess Bride still stands up.
Oh, yeah, it does.
So the same air.
I don't think that word means what you think it means. It stands up.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway,
Okay. So the bottom of that page, I have something to say. Did you have anything that you wanted to talk about from the top to the bottom?
no.
Okay. At the bottom, he says, elite storytellers waste nothing. Every location, costume, sound, color, everything is specifically chosen to add nuance and texture to the central.
Wow. That's deep.
And about it.
I had not thought about that either. Where I when you say bottom of that page, show me the bottom of the page.
322, the bottom of the
Can
page.
you show me the bottom?
I'm looking right
Okay.
here.
So
It's
sorry.
right next to this one.
Okay. Got it. Sorry, everybody. I'm on I have this book in 3 formats and I'm in the e-version of the book. So it's a little bit different for me. Cool. Cool beans.
But yeah, I hadn't thought about it. And I'm thinking about the book I'm writing right now. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I got that. Oh, I don't have that one. I have that one. Oh, but I don't have that one. So now I need to I need to finish writing the book. But when I go back to editing, because I've realized I can't, if I go edit now, I'll just get in this editing cycle. So I got to finish the book and then I can go back.
Finish.
Yes, then I can go back and do all the edits. So I need to make sure that when I go back, I do this thing right here.
Yeah, good point. There are lots of things that I have highlighted and taken out, especially in the how you do it, to apply to either writing a new book or editing when I'm editing and revising a book. There's really great stuff in this book. I really liked how he referenced The Sopranos in here. That's not the How Our Master Did It. But I remember that scene of The Sopranos that he referenced when Tony Soprano took his daughter to see a college. And he had to, as Tony does or did, he had to go kill a guy. And I remember him looking at this poster.
He make them swim with the fishes.
Basically. I remember him looking at the poster, but the poster says, no man can wear one face to himself and another to the multitudes without finally becoming bewildered as to which may be true. And that completely embodies Tony Soprano. He was one conflicted bad guy. He was an awesome bad guy, one of the first bad guys I ever rooted for. But that is a great way that the writers of that show amplify the theme in little moments like that with the main character. All right. Anything else in how it works? Let's move on to how a master did it.
He used Double Indemnity, based off the novel by James Cain, and it was a screenplay. I had never heard of this story before, but I like how it was kind of a play on words. And did you read it? Do you know the story?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It reminded me of another one, but I can't remember the title. More modern day. Okay, I say modern day. This was in 1944.
Yes.
I'm thinking something that came out in the 70s or 80s, maybe the 90s, that reminded me of this story, but I can't remember the name of it. But it
Dang.
made me think of this example.
I think I know exactly which movie you're thinking about. I cannot think of the name, but now I have to go look it up because I remember who was in it. And it is very similar. I don't know if it was a remake. You guys know.
Yeah, I remember watching it, and it's actors that I would know
Yeah.
this.
Put it in the comments. Yell it out to the screen. We won't hear you.
Let
Put it
us
in
know.
the
The movie we were trying to think of was the 1981 blockbuster Body Heat, starring William Hurt and Kathleen Turner. The movie was loosely based on Double Indemnity.
All right.
So he goes into detail in this one. More detail, I think, than he has past examples. But I didn't have anything until the how you do it. So is there anything you wanted to point out under how Master did?
So the central dramatic question of Double Indemnity is, will Walter and Phyllis, the stars of this movie, get away with murder and fraud? That's the question. You can be in no doubt of that if you ever watch this movie. And also, it's noir and it's black and white. So we know probably nothing good is going to happen. But it's a really good movie and I enjoyed it. And if for those of you who have never seen it, it's about an insurance salesman. He hooks up with this gorgeous, of course, femme fatale, blonde, buxom, married woman who wants to get rid of her husband. And the insurance guy is going to help her get rid of her husband. And they're going to collect the insurance money, double indemnity. And if he dies in a certain way, she'll get extra money. And so they have arranged it. And it's from the 40s. So if you can spoilers from that, I'm sorry. You had
Plenty of time.
yeah. But he points out the theme of this movie is straight down the line or right down the line. And he points out every time it's said in this movie. And I have seen that movie 2, maybe 3 times because I love old black and whites. I love the AMC channel. And my mom, that's all she wants to watch is black and white movies. But I remember them saying it, but it never occurred to me that it was said either too many times or enough times for me to notice them saying it more than twice, maybe. But I think it was said maybe 7 times in the whole movie by different people. And the way he lays it out in the book, as he's explaining it, makes that movie even richer when you look at the theme and how they committed to the theme and how it ends.
Right.
I'm not gonna tell you how it ends. You have to go watch this 80-year-old movie in black and white. But so that's all I wanted to say is that he pulled out a particular line that the writers used to communicate the theme, and it was put in the mouths of different actors or different characters in the movie, and it was just beautifully done. The movie is great. So that's all I wanted to say.
So in how you do it, I just wanted to point out the first bullet point at the bottom of the first bullet point. He says, you have a subject and your theme is your take on the subject. Yeah. So I like that. I've never heard it put that way before, but I like that. And at the bottom of the same page, he says the amplification must be believable within the context of the themes expressed. So this one's all about amplifying your theme. You can amplify it wrong. So make sure you amplify it so that it is believable within the context of what your theme is supposed to be. Don't amplify the wrong thing. And make it make sense.
Yeah. Theme was never a strong point for me, even in high school. If you are a writer, and that's the case for you, this is a great chapter to read to pick up on theme, improve how you look at theme, and even, especially if you're writing literary. If you're writing literary fiction, this is a great chapter to use. One of the things he says to do is to, after you complete a draft, list every reference that you've included, audio, spoken words, visuals, etc., and make sure they work together to amplify your theme. One line that I liked, it was in the first bullet. You read the last part, but he says, if you didn't know before how to figure out a theme, this is not a theme. Marriage. That's a subject. And then he says, your theme is your take on a subject. So figuring out your theme is going to be something that you want to do in your writing. That's all I had for chapter 25.
Yes, that was chapter 25. He did have a continuing ad, which was Macbeth. I have nothing to point out about Macbeth.
Oh, yeah, I forgot it was Macbeth. Yeah, Macbeth is a good one for theme.
Okay. Now, chapter 26 is attack your theme. I did not get it. I also didn't really get 27. I literally wrote in the top of my page, don't really get it. There are a couple things that I will point out if Audrey doesn't point them out first. Go, Audrea.
Geez, pressure much? All right. So in the quick take, he says, just as you want to create fierce antagonists, we talked about that in previous chapters, who come at your hero with everything they've got, you want to present the counter ideas to your main idea or theme as intelligently as possible. This will push you to fully explore your theme, sharpen your take on it, so it won't just be some old generic thing about do unto others as others would do unto you. Sharpen your take on it and ultimately make your point stronger. And I thought that was a good way to look at it. So when you look at your character, your hero, you're going to look at your anti-hero, whatever is preventing him from reaching his goal at all the points. And they want to not just be equal, but both, as we read in a previous chapter, be operating at the top of their ability or intelligence. But when you look at your theme, which I never thought about before this chapter, you want to look at the counter to your theme, and you might want to present both, and that'll make your point stronger. So I thought that was a great thing to add, and I got a lot out of just that quick take. When he goes into how it works, I'll admit this one is a deep chapter. So for those of you writing literary fiction, this is your jam. This is the stuff. These last 4 chapters are where you're gonna get a lot. I highlighted attacking your theme doesn't necessarily mean putting a character up on a soapbox to give voice to the entire counter argument. That's not it. It just means emphasizing or enriching your theme by adding the counterpoint and making it subtle, making it make sense or organic to your work in progress. We all have seen those old, what were those after school specials?
For those things.
Oh my gosh, I could not watch. I mean,
Oh my God, I loved them.
horrible.
I
They
love them. I could now, but yeah, I loved them.
Wow, they just hammered you over the head with the themes and things like that.
Clearly, it worked.
Yeah. Anyway, the other thing I highlighted in how it works, fundamental choices you make early in the creative process often determine whether or not your story works. Let this thought sink in for a second. If your story is founded on a theme that is so obvious, it's not possible to attack it with a counter argument, the story's doomed from the start. And I thought that was a very good point. So
At the bottom, just past that, the only thing I highlighted was, well, I did that whole thing where I liked that whole paragraph, but at the bottom of that, it says you're writing a story, not a bumper sticker.
I love that. Yes, that was a good one. That is a good one. All right. So the say nothing, Amy, stay still, Amy. The media that he used for How a Master Did It is the Brothers Karamazov by Dostoevsky. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce his name very well. Fyodor Dostoevsky. He used the Brothers Karamazov, which was required reading in my advanced English class in high school. I think I either took a D or did some extra credit or another book so that I would not have to read that book. I did not want to read the Brothers Karamazov, not only because it weighed 6 pounds, but because it was too dark for my delicate sensibilities. And it is still too dark for my delicate sensibilities. Actually, I read a lot of the How a Master Did It until I got to some really dark stuff that happened in that book that I didn't know about and I didn't want to know about. And then I skipped the whole rest of it. I'm sorry, Mr. Rubin.
I read it because I didn't know. So I'm telling you, from someone who just read it, don't
read it.
Take our word for it. Just don't. And we're going to skip right to the how you do it.
Yes, let's.
Okay. If you don't know your theme, analyze the main actions of your last draft. I like that one.
That's
And that's the one I highlighted.
That is a good one. He talks about in the first one, as you did in the last chapter, start by defining your theme in a clear, simple sentence, using the fewest words you can. And then the other one I highlighted was almost the last one. It is the key is to have the same genuine conviction from the opposite side of the theme. So now imagine you're attacking the idea that wrathfulness is sinful, but you want to go on the other side and have the same counter idea. And that's going to help you enrich your story, basically, when we talked about. And I did highlight just a part of the last one. And there's lots of good stuff about theme in here, but the last one I said, to tell a story, you pay a price. And I highlighted that in a different color. And if it had been a paper book, I would have written in the margin, I don't want to pay a price. I don't want to. No, not going to pay it. No, I'm going to write happy books and everybody's happy. Of course, they would be boring books if nothing bad happened. There were no conflict, but you have to decide.
You write books on murder.
Your point?
I guess somebody's happy at some point about it, right?
How dare you? How dare you?
We're going to skip the mini final exam. You guys can do that for yourselves. Continuing ed is about the duel. Set in 1891. I had nothing to contribute on that one. Anything to contribute?
I did read the duel, and he tells you what the theme of the duel is in the continuing ed, which was helpful. But I mean, I do remember a lot of that from high school too, but it's a good example of.
You remember high school?
I remember high school. I do. I remember a lot of high school.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so Transcend Thought is chapter 27, and since there are 27 essential principles of story, it's the last chapter of the book. We made it to the last chapter. Anyway, the last chapter, 27, is Transcend Thought. Neither of us know what he's talking about. I'm just kidding.
Nope, we don't. We don't. We highlighted stuff. The last one I had a hard time getting. This one I don't have. I don't know. I'm going to ask him in our interview.
Write that down.
I'm going to ask him.
Okay. So the quote here is from Stanley Kubrick, one of the highly regarded filmmakers of our time. The truth of a thing is in the feel of it, not the think of it, which is a good point. One of the things from the quick take that I highlighted is the point is that you must not rely exclusively on rational thought to tell your story. We are not putting together puzzle pieces to create identical pictures. So it's not supposed to be that easy or that simple. If it were that simple, it would be boring, or it would be and now you know, or after school special. If you're 100% certain, according to Mr. Rubin, of how everything works, what motivates people, and what it all means, you leave no room for mystery or wonder in either yourself or your reader. So you have to leave room for mystery and wonder. One other highlight I have from how it works. Well, I'll go to the first one in how it works. We talked earlier about the math of a story, how A plus B equals C. If Mary studies hard and aces her science test, it means hard work pays off. This is logical. But it's important not to focus exclusively on logic. Story is about the fusion of intelligence and emotion. So that goes back to that feels thing. So you have to transcend thought with feeling or emotion. The other thing, there was a lot in this. He even has Eraserhead in here, which I've seen. And he also has Pulp Fiction, which he has a good point about Pulp Fiction. In Pulp Fiction, there was that briefcase and that they were carrying around. And we never, as viewers, ever got to see what was in the briefcase. But there's a moment when, what's his name? Jules opens the briefcase so Vincent can see what's in it. And then you just see Vincent's face and it's just glowing. There's a glow coming from the briefcase. But we never get to see what's in the briefcase, which was a great bit of story or provoking our sense of wonder, which is one of the things that he points out here. So wonder is one of the things that you want to provoke in your stories, mystery and wonder and emotion, beyond just thinking A plus B equals C. And the last thing I highlighted in the how it works was when you attempt to transcend thought, you do so because logical thought can express what you need. Because logical thought can't express what you need to express. It takes more than just the thought.
What matters most is that you feel it intensely. It strikes a nerve. It feels at least intuitively connected to your narrative and theme. It inspires a sense of awe and wonder in you.
Yeah.
If that happens, that's good. But I thought he said good enough wasn't good enough.
Write that down to ask.
The only other thing I want to point out is there's one section where he says, anyone can do anything for any reason or no reason. But whatever you create must be fueled by authentic feeling.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to have a reason for it. Just make sure you can feel it.
And I think that is the essential point of this essential principle. Fueled by authentic feeling. When things, and we've talked about this before, when things become inauthentic, when characters do things just because to get you to the end of the story or because that'll make something else happen, and it's not authentic to the character, that'll pull your reader out of the story because your reader was right there along with that character. They know that character and how they think and feel and so forth, and they do something for the purposes of the story or for the writer. It's not something that a character would authentically do, then you're going to lose your reader's trust, basically. So, how you do it. There's a lot of good stuff in how you do it. One of the ones I highlighted was tie your CDQ or central dramatic question to the feeling you need to express and explore. For example, if you're feeling enraged, a CDQ might be, will a man escape justice after he kills another man in a bar fight? Oofta, that's a heavy one. He also says to continuously challenge yourself to up the intensity of feeling you wish to express. So those are some great points to apply. And there's even more. There's 7 of them in here that you can apply to your work in progress. Did you highlight any of those?
I want to say more on
Yes.
the last one you said. You said continually challenge yourself to up the intensity of the feeling you wish to express. See how tightly you can pack the cannon. Keep going until you, as the writer, truly feel what you need to feel to make the situation and character authentic.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one was seek the negative spaces that come from removing information and explanation. And I think that goes with something we've said previously. I don't know if it was this book or another one, because like I've already told you guys, it all goes together. I just remember saying it, is that if you take something out and the story can still go on and there's no missing it, then leave it out.
Yeah.
If you take it out and the story falls flat, put it back in. And I think that's kind of what this is. See if what you've got in there needs to even be in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also highlighted the last one here. Inspiration is contagious. And I think I highlighted that because I think if you're inspired as the author, then it'll translate across the page, the screenplay, the music, or whatever to your audience. So that's something to remember. If it's something that you know backwards and forwards and almost boring to you, you might want to write it if you're writing a textbook, but it's not going to be gobble up fiction.
The way I like to think of it is if I don't want to read it, why would I expect someone else to want to read it?
Yeah, that's a good point. All right. Of course, you want to do your mini final exam, and the continuing ed is a short story by Kono Teiko, 1963 short story Night Journey. The conclusion for this book, conclusion and summary. I'm just going to say, I really like this book. Nobody's surprised because I've said it every episode. But I learned a lot reading this book. And I learned a lot of things that I immediately applied to my current work in progress and new stories that I wrote. And there are things when you read a writing craft book that you internalize, hopefully you internalize, and they just become, without you ever even thinking about it, part of, if you're lucky, how you write and how you improve your writing. And I think this book is a good one for that. And I think he's using so many different media, from rap songs to cartoons to comic books to black and white movies to Star Wars, all these things really helped just about any type of writer to pick up on the essential principles. And also, I love how he put in there the mini final exam is great, but how it works, how a master did it, and how you do it. I just love that. You can really apply it. And I love books that I can apply to my writing when I'm reading writing craft. That's why I read writing craft. What do you
I
think?
mean, why else would we read it if we weren't trying to improve our game? Speaking of, didn't you say something about a class?
Did you know? I know you know, Amy, because I told you as soon as I found it that Daniel Joshua Rubin has an online class that covers the essential principles of story that's available on his website. And if you did not get enough out of reading the book, chapter by chapter, principle by principle, you can reinforce it. And I know this because I started the class. I'm not finished it, but I've started it. There are videos that he's linked to. So you can really reinforce what you're learning and do actual homework and move through the class. And when I read about this book, way back when we first started doing it, he said he wanted it to be like an MFA, but cheap. And as cheap as the cost of a book. So I actually feel like he did write it that way. You could basically master the art of creative writing just by reading and reinforcing this book. So the class is great. We'll put a link to it in the video. If you liked this video,
Well, wait.
Oh.
How much is the class?
it's free. It's crazy.
Free.
So before
And
you
it's a lot of because I looked it up. I haven't started yet. I don't have time to start anything right now. I looked it up. It's a lot of work. Like it's a class that you would typically pay a couple $100 for. It's yeah. So look it up. And because we don't have enough subscribers, we can't do an actual link, but we'll put it in there. You can copy paste.
Yeah, copy paste it if you want to check it out. And do check it out until he figures out he made it free and goes in there and makes it $900 or something like that. So yeah, it's really great. And yeah, we'll definitely link or put up the URL in there so you guys can find it. It's very well done and very thorough.
Now, what were you going to say about subscribers?
We want more subscribers. No,
Like and share.
I can share it. That was it. Anything else from you, Amy?
Not on this subject.
Thank you for joining us in our very first The Right Read. See you soon. Bye.